Function notation is just a way of rewriting an equation. Ordinarily, we have equations where it's y equals something or x equals something. We do a lot of plugging in, solving for equations. Function notation is a little different in the sense that our format is going to be a little bit different. Our process is still the same, but the format is a little daunting as it is new. Now, what function notation is, for every x value in the domain that we plug into an equation, we're going to get a y value in the range that's the output. So essentially, we plug in an x value and we get a y value as our answer. Now, the notation for our new equations are going to begin with this: f parenthesis x parenthesis. Now, we don't say it like that. We really say it f of x. And what this is shorthand for function of x in relation to y. And because the y value depends on the x value, the y value is represented by f of x. So this diagram shows the difference between the old way and the new way. Now this means we plug in an x value into our equation here. F of x equals 2x plus 3, and our answer is the y value. The old way of looking at things is y equals 2x plus 3, find y when x equals 4. So we're told what x is, so we're going to plug in 4 for x, and then add 3 after we multiply, we're going to get 11. The new way of doing it in terms of function notation is our equation is now f of x equals 2x plus 3. Find f of 4. Now what this means is ordinarily the old way was y equals 2x plus 3. The new way is f of x equals 2x plus 3. Notice on the right hand side here it's still the same. So what this means is y and f of x here are exactly the same thing. They represent the same thing. The only meaning behind this is now with this f of x notation, we can say we definitely have a function, whereas if we begin the equation y equals, we can't say for certain if we have a function. That is the only difference that's going on here. To find f of 4, I compare what we're asked to find with how my equation begins. And I take a look at it, I ask myself, what got replaced? So inside parentheses, we have an x for our equation. Inside parentheses here, we have a 4. The x got replaced, so this tells me everywhere there is an x in our problem, I'm going to put that 4. So 2 times 4 plus 3, and I get 11. Now, when we start evaluating, we're going to do the same exact thing that we just did up above in our diagram here. If f of x equals negative x squared, find f of negative 2. I look at how I begin, and I look at what I'm tasked to find. I ask myself, what got replaced? Well, inside parentheses was an x. Inside the parentheses here is negative 2. So this tells me everywhere there's an x, I'm going to put in negative 2. So we start off with the negative value of x squared. So we're going to write f of negative 2 equals, the symbol negative comes down, and now we have x. So negative 2, and I am squaring it. So we have negative value of negative 2 squared. Well, negative 2 squared, negative 2 times negative 2 is 4, and then the negative value of 4 is negative 4. So f of negative 2 gives me an answer of negative 4. Our second problem here, if g of x equals x squared minus x over 4, find g of negative 4. Now notice we use a different letter to start off with. It's still the same thing. There's a reason for it. Most functions we're going to write as f of x equals, but in Algebra 2 there's a section that is taught and it's called compositions. Basically, I am creating a new function when I'm using 2 or 3 other functions. So f of x is the most common, but the other two that you see a lot of, especially in algebra 2, would be g of x or h of x. It's all the same thing. They're all functions. It's just we use a different letter. So there's no reason for confusion in that sense. So as long as I have this set up like this, g of x or f of x, h of x, w of x, and it's all the same thing. So I look at my g of x. I am told to find g of -4. So what got replaced? Well, 4 is inside parentheses, x is inside the parentheses. So this tells me all x's get replaced with -4. So I have an x here and I have an x here. So I have -4 squared minus -4 over 4 here. Well, -4 squared gives me 16. Minus a negative, I plus 4 over 4. 16 plus 4 is 20 over 4, which gives me 5. So g of -4 ends up being 5. Now our third problem, again, the format is a little bit different, but it means the same thing. So this symbolage here, it does look confusing, but here it means if f is a function of x in relation to y such that y equals 5 over x minus 3, find f of 7. Well, we learned previously if I have a function, it's going to begin f of x. And we learned that f of x and y can be used interchangeably. So it's really 5 over x minus 3. Find f of 7. So again, I take a look at the format. 7's in parentheses. X is in parentheses. So I'm really replacing the x with 7 in this case. So 5 over 7 minus 3. 7 minus 3 is 4. So I end up with 5 over 4. I cannot reduce that fraction, so I'm going to leave it be. 4, if w of x equals x cubed plus 2x, find w of 6. So w of 6 equals, again, x got replaced, so everywhere there's an x, I put 6. So I have 6 cubed plus 2 times 6. 6 cubed is 216. 2 times 6 is 12. Add them together and we get 228. Number 5, we have g of x is 5x squared minus 4x plus 3. Find g of 1/2. So g of 1/2 is equal to, again, what got replaced? The x got replaced. So all my x's get replaced with 1/2. And I go through and simplify. So I got 1/2 squared is really 5 times 1 over 4. Minus 4 times 1/2. Well, half of 4 is 2 plus 3. 5 times 1/4 is 5 over 4, and then I'll add my two numbers here. -2 plus 3 gives me plus 1. Well, 1 as a fraction is really 4 over 4, so plus 4 over 4. Add my top numbers. 5 plus 4 gives me 9 over 4, so g of 1/2 equals 9 over 4. Now our sixth problem here, we have a whole bunch. I'm only going to do A through F because G and H are find the domain and range. That was covered previously in a couple other lessons. So F of 0. So we have to take a look. Remember, our functions always begin with F of X equals. So we have to take a look at what happens here when we have to figure out what f of 0 is, what f of 1 is, and all that. So f of 0, I take a look. What got replaced from my parent equation? So again, equations start with f of x equals. Inside parentheses is 0. X is inside parentheses here as well. So we are going to figure out what is y when x is 0. So x is 0 right here at the origin, and I'm going to go up or down. And I see I hit this point right here, and I went up one spot, so my answer is 1. Now b is f of 1, so I'm going to do the same thing. Inside parentheses is 1, inside parentheses is x, so this tells me x is 1, and I'm going to go up or down. I hit that point right there, and I see I went up 1, 2, 3 spots. So f of 1 equals 3. Letter C is a little bit different. It says f of x equals 4. So where is my number? Is my number inside parentheses, or is it equaling parentheses? So the other thing we have to remember is f of x equals and y equals are the same thing. So if I am told a number that f of x is equal to, that is actually saying that's my y value. So this is really saying y equals 4 in this case. So I'm going to go to where y is equal to 4, which is up here towards the top. And I want to go left and right to see where I hit my point. So if I go left, I hit that point right here. And I go right. If I go left, I hit that one point. If I go right, I hit that point. So I'm actually going to have 2 answers here. So going left 1 means x is equal to -1. And if I go to the right 1, 2, 3 spots. So I get -1 and 3 as answers for when f of x equals 4. Letter D, I am told f of x equals 1. What is x? So just like before, this is really y equals 1. So I go up to where y is 1, which is this point right here. I don't have to go anywhere. I hit that point right there, but I also go to the right and hit a second spot. So x, I don't move left or right at all, so I get 0. And then I go to the right 2 spots, so 0 and 2 are the x values for when f of x equals 1. E and F, we're back to the number being inside parentheses, so this tells me x is that value. So in this case, f of 1/2, x being 1/2. So I go kind of in the middle here. I'm going to go up or down, and I see I hit my line right there. So I get up 2 spots. So 2 would be the answer for f of 1/2. And then the other one, f of 2.5, being in parentheses, that tells me it's my x value. So I go to the right 2.5 spots. And I go up 1, 2, and I kind of hit in between there. So because it's in between, that is also going to be 2.5. I'm not going to worry about domain and range. I'll move on to the multiple choice. 7, we're asked, in which of the following is 3 from the domain mapped to 10 in the range? So domain, again, is your x value. So they're saying x is 3. And 10 is in the range, which is y. So it's saying y is 10. So I need to know which of these 4 equations here, when I plug in 3, am I going to get 10 as my answer? So 3, if I plug in 3 for x, 3 minus 3 gives me nothing. That's not 10, so it can't be 1. Number 3, we are told y equals 7. Well, we want y to be 10, not 7, so it can't be 3 either. Our second answer over here on the right, x plus 3, again, we plug in 3. 3 plus 3 gives me 6. Again, we need it to be 10. And number 4, 3 plus 7 gives me 10. Therefore, it is number 4. Number 8, we have to map a relation from set A to set B, showing that it is a function. Again, set A being our x value. We always map from x to y, so A to B. To be a function, we need one arrow only coming off of each value of x. So coming off of 1, I can only have 1 arrow. Coming off of 2, I can only have 1 arrow. So 1 to A, I'll draw 2 to A. And then 3, I can only have 1 arrow. I'll draw it to C. So that there is a function because I only have 1 answer for each x value. Number 9, circle the one that's not a function. Again, function means x values do not repeat. So I'm looking for the one where I have x values that don't repeat. So 2, 4, 6, 8, my x values did not repeat, so that one's fine. 2, 4, 6, 2. I see I have 2 repeating here. This one gives me an answer of 0. That one gives me an answer of 3. I get 2 different answers for the same number, 2. So this cannot be a function. And if I check the other ones, -2, -4, -6, -8, they don't repeat. 2, 4, 6, -6, they're all different numbers. They don't repeat. So our second one is only the only one not a function. And then 10 here, we're going to use the table in order to figure out what our answers are. So for instance, f of -1. So -1 is inside parentheses telling me that's my x value. So I come over here where x is -1, and it gives me -6 as an answer. F of 4, again, inside parentheses, that's my x values. So here's my x values. I look for 4. My answer that maps with it is +5. C, we got to find the value of x if f of x equals 10. So here's my f of x. I want 10. So 0 is going to be my answer in this case. And then I need to know the value of x if f of x equals -6. So I follow along f of x row. Here's -6. It matches with -1. So -1 is the value. And that is using function notation in order to figure out the y values, and using the chart in order to figure out x and y values.